So one of the main responsibilities of a SharePoint administrator is monitoring servers and taking proactive steps to ensure that the uptime is there, that data is not lost, all of the ilities, reliability, restorability, all of those kind of things. So what we're going to talk about here is some of the tools that you have to ensure that your SharePoint server and farm stays healthy and happy. The Health Analyzer has become the primary way of monitoring functionality errors in SharePoint. This is new for SharePoint 2013. There's been a variety of different tools and different places to go in previous SharePoint generations. It's a little bit of a transition for those of you who actually have been doing SharePoint. If you're new to SharePoint, be very happy that you've come in at a time where we're getting some increased tool ability. That being said, doesn't mean that the logs and usage information should not be used to determine loading, scaling, other non-feature related information. Your usage reports, your management, your bottlenecks, all of those kind of things. You want to take a look at those and ensure that things aren't trending in a way that you're going to start tripping Health Analyzer concerns. All of the typical things that you're looking at, you want to keep working with SharePoint on. And the SharePoint server logs can be integrated into your other infrastructure management processes. So this can actually help you with seeing if web front ends become too loaded through standard Windows Server management tools, checking to see if you may be tapping out on memory, you're actually running out and getting into thrashing conditions. Figure out if your network may be overloaded trying to get information back and forth between your various servers and the different functionality there. So while Health Analyzer should really become your first place to go to make sure that your SharePoint site is healthy and happy, don't forget all of the other places where you can actually gather information and you can work with the data coming in. So you actually can see there's something going on. How do you resolve the errors? Again, begin with the Health Analyzer. There's some new auto recovery rules that are in place. Generally, this is the best way to actually handle, you don't want normal errors, but the common things that a SharePoint farm will run into. This can go through and actually allow you to scale out your skill set for SharePoint. You don't have to have a master troubleshooter with SharePoint. You don't have to dig through logs for hours to find the core pieces and what to do to resolve errors in this generation of SharePoint. That being said, one of the common items that happens with Health Analyzer is an IIS reset. SharePoint is a beast of the web. IIS is its environment that everything runs in for everything from communications back and forth with the web APIs, with the web front ends, with everything passing back and forth. So if something's looking not quite right on just one location or something's not really in place, a good IIS reset will be a good start to figuring out if there might be something deeper going on. That being said, in previous generations of IIS and SharePoint, this was a very quick fix for all manner of ills. Things have become much more stable and much more manageable as the generations have gone on. So whereas this would be often the first place you would look for a lot of items previously, don't count on this being the silver bullet or the magic healthcare. And for farm implementations, when you're looking at errors, the first thing to kind of do in your troubleshooting steps is isolate where the error is. A lot of times you'll find intermittent errors become that you have one web front end that's having some problems, or something's not being indexed correctly, that it may not be the site itself, but it may be one of the index servers. All of these pieces are coming into place, and you can know what's going on. Intermittents are very often on single servers on the farm having difficulty, whereas if the problem is actually in the database, you'll see different issues such as consistent loss of data or items that won't be saved or those kind of things. So first of all, when you're resolving the errors, figure out if it's in the database or if it's in your actual servers, and that will go a long way to helping you resolve the errors. For content errors or for things disappearing maybe not because of technology issues, auditing is going to be your biggest tool. SharePoint has a lot of new auditing reporting built in. You can still create your own. SharePoint creates a very nice tool to go in there. A lot of this is based upon reporting services, so you can actually have everything kind of built into SharePoint and going forward, rather than creating some of your own tools or actually going through lots of independent web pages to pull in the information, or even more painful, going through megabytes of text logging to find out exactly what's going on. That being said, never discount those. You can always, having two sources of information is extremely important for any auditing, but know that SharePoint does make it a lot easier to actually do those first pass or regular audits to ensure that everything's going both correctly on the technology side and on the people side. Because the reports do need to be stored, these built-in reports will sit in a SharePoint repository. It's a good idea just to create a location just for the audit information. This means that you can actually have the correct people having access to that audit. Just dumping the audit report into a shared document library is probably not the best thing to do, though sometimes you may want to make sure that your users know that everything's being watched. Often you don't want to spread that information quite as far and disrupt the way people are looking at things. So we're going to move over to the server and take a look at both the server errors and the auditing logs. So here we are at Central Administration. You can actually see that we've come in and Health Analyzer has let us know that there are some critical issues that we need to take a look at. Very quickly we can go into those issues. These are actually stored in a SharePoint repository, so you can actually go back and review them. So we're going to go in and take a look. We can see that we've actually got all the items broken down. We have security, unattended service account, application ID has a problem in the Visio graphics service. It's about 14 hours ago. We're not using that for anything right now. We've just kind of got it activated. So I should probably go in and, for my remediation on this, I should either fix the error, or I should say that right now the Visio graphics service is not something we need. So disable it, and then we'll be in good shape for that. On configuration, verify OAuth is configured correctly for the machine translation service application proxy. Again, this is one of those functionalities that maybe I need to fix, because I need to go in and make sure that my translation service is working to give me multiple languages and let me have localization for a global company. Or maybe I don't need this and I can go, obviously it's an OAuth issue and it's a machine translation. Those are things I may want to look at later, so maybe disable the machine translation service, and then I don't have to worry about this until I have those needs again. And then we can actually see that one of the cache hosts in the cluster is down. That's something I probably want to take a look at, but we've got a single server, so obviously something's happening there with looking at the cluster, and drives are running out of free space, which is something I actually know is going on. The machine we're running on right now has 24 gig of RAM and only 60 gig of storage. When we've added everything in and put in all of the information, we're actually down to below 40 gig of storage space. SharePoint will start giving you this notice when you're below double your memory size of storage, because Windows needs double that size to be able to do a full memory dump, to be able to dump it out and then make the copy of it. So it's letting us know that as long as I'm not getting memory dumps, I'm okay with that, but it's just letting me know where all the issues are. I can actually come up and see those problems. I can actually change the view on here if I've got different ways I want to slice and dice this. So I can actually go and see what we've got with the health reporting. We can also go in and look at monitoring, and we've got some additional information. We can look on the Health Analyzer. And you can see we just looked at the problems and solutions. We can also look at the rule definition and see what we've got there. You can see we've got the different rules that we can go in. We can look at and see what's going on. Have all of our information, know what's going on, what its schedule is, and we can run it right now if we wanted to and check on that. And then let's look at another one of the rules. And this one actually has a repair automatically function. We can actually see what's going on with that. We can know that this one will actually try and repair itself. which we'll be notified of what happens on that, but we actually at this point don't have to do anything there. It's got some functionality built into it to actually handle that. And those are actually put in when you're setting up the feature on that. So you actually, we didn't see where we can actually work with that one. We just know that it allows itself to try and repair itself automatically. Other items we can actually look for, or other tools in our tool belt, are the timer jobs, making sure that those timer definitions are in place, that all of them that we expect to have happen are happening, and then we can actually check the job status. That's one of the common items that happens, is that instead of going that something's failing, we're just not even kicking it off with a timer job. So making sure that things are being kicked off and that things are running correctly is one of our jobs on monitoring the sites. We've got start times, we know what's happening there. We know what's happening. We can actually get information on these jobs if they succeeded or aborted and why, and we can actually know what's going on. So we've got a job here that's aborting, was not executed because the service on this server is not started. It actually can give me the information about how to do the job definition myself. So it's got the using the STS-ADM command and to execute the job. So we can actually go in and see the details. We can know what we're doing, how those timer jobs are coming in, and what the results are. We can also view usage and health collection, how we're gathering that usage and health information. We can view the health reports, and we can view the administrative reports. We've got a diagnostic logging that we can actually go in and get additional information on what's going on the server. We want to leave that as much as we can. This is a report that we can actually gather in. If those reports are being run, they'll drop into here so we can view them. You can also use this to store your own reports in. So if you've got situations where you want to do a report on when everyone was checking the backups or what was going on with the various items there, this is where you drop those reports in so you can actually have your processes documented. So having viewed the monitoring tools, let's go over and take a look at the auditing tools. Those are actually able to be run actually at the site collection level and the site level. So let's actually look at what your users are going to be doing, because ideally you're going to want to let them do a lot of the monitoring. Auditing works with a lot of the content, and as we're trying to move that over into the user space, or at least the site collection owner space, we want to make sure that they've got all the tools that they can to do that. So what we can actually do is, you can see we've got audit log reports here under site collection administration. So we can actually go in there and let's take a look at some of the audit logs. So we've got built-in audit reports here. And let's take a look down through the items, and we've got things such as see what settings we have on the SharePoint Foundation. We've got security settings that have been changed. Let's go down and actually take a custom report. So we can do is we can tell where we're going to save this. As a demo site, I'm going to just select our document library. You should never do this in production, or to make sure your users don't do that. We've selected it, and that's where we'll go. We can restrict this report to various sites and locations. Let's go ahead and look at our options here. And you can see we can run this on whatever we're looking for. We can actually run it just on audit, just on tasks, on the feeds, on the documents. We're going to do it on the entire collection. Our date ranges. You can actually say, I know just about where I want to go, but I can actually dig into to specific information. I'm just going to put for the week. We can actually look for specific users that we can look for, so we can delve in and know just what a certain person was doing, and then we can actually choose the events that we're looking for. For our review here, I'm just going to actually add everything. But you can see we can actually tweak in and figure out who's been looking at things, we'll be viewing items in there, where things were deleted, editing content types, searching the site. So we can actually go in and find a lot of different details about what's going on. And you can see we went through and it has generated our report. It's generated and saved to our location, so it doesn't open up automatically. But all I have to do is click here, And our Excel services opens it up and we get to see our report. So we've got all of our information. Note that because I said looking at any items, it's actually giving me all the locations, all the templates, all the different things that have been pushed out into the browser. So you can see the master page has been viewed 124 times. We've got the security group member added. So we can actually see that has 3 instances somewhere along in there. It rolls it up for us. Breaking all of the different items that are in there and gives me a summary of what's happening in there. And then if I want to see the different detail, I can actually go down to the report data that supports this. Now, as you see a lot of GUIDs in here and a lot of different information. But if you want to get right down into the detail of what's happening on your server, it's giving you all the different all the information, so you can see a roll-up, or you can actually see the deep data that you're trying to work with. So make sure that your users understand how to do this, how they can actually set up their own auditing to know what's going on. There are a number of different ways you can do this. Traditionally, it's been, let's look at security auditing, or let's looking at churn on our document libraries, or those kind of things. But if you back it up, there's a lot of reporting that can be done through auditing if you've got it turned on. You can actually go through and do things like HR may want to ensure that who hasn't reviewed the latest policies, announcements, who's paying attention to what items are going on, which users are the most prolific about gathering information across the system, who's the person in your organization that generates the most content by looking at the number of new documents that are created or new items that are created. So there's a lot of different things that auditing can tell you very easily that can give you great insight into your organization.